Just 6 hours ago, an Iranian fighter pilot creeps up behind a lone American jet and shoots it to pieces. He rakes it nose to tail. Hydraulics gone, one engine dead, the whole thing rolling into a long, burning fall toward the sea. Then he keys his radio, calm as you like. Splash 1. He's finished. Watch him fall. He should not have said that out loud. Back up about 20 minutes. It's 2026, and Iran and the United States are sitting inside a fragile ceasefire. Everyone's stopped shooting, and everyone's waiting to see who cheats first. It's the kind of peace where both sides still fly patrols, still shadow each other across the Gulf, and still keep one thumb resting near the trigger out of pure habit. Today, an Iranian pilot named Major Reza Dvari decides he's done waiting. Dvari is good, genuinely good, and he knows it, which is the more dangerous of the two. He spent this entire ceasefire flying boring loops over empty water, watching the war that was supposed to make his name quietly fail to happen. What he wants is a kill, the story, the promotion, the look on everyone's faces back home. He wants to be the one who finally drew first blood when it counted, and he's flying the jet to do it in. Sort of. It's an F-4 Phantom, a big, loud 1960s fighter that mostly proves you can make a brick fly if you bolt enough engine to it. It's older than he is, but it's fast, it's heavy, it's armed, and right now, low over the water, it has just spotted a target. It's an A-10. An American attack jet so ugly that nobody bothers with its real name. Everybody just calls it the Warthog. It is not built to win dogfights. Its entire job is to fly low over a battlefield, take its time, and ruin the day of everyone unlucky enough to be underneath it. To Dvari, this slow, lumbering thing looks less like an enemy and more like a gift. He barely registers the enormous cannon bolted into its nose. Why would he? He's sitting right behind it, in the faster jet, with the better angle, and the American hasn't even turned to look. The Warthog is just trundling along, fat and happy, like it's out for a Sunday drive that happens to be over the Persian Gulf. Every instinct Dvari has trained into himself over a whole career is screaming one easy word at him. This isn't a fight, he decides. It's a free kill. He slides in behind the Warthog, using the ceasefire itself as cover. Because who fires the first shot during a truce? He does, apparently. The American is flying straight and level, the way you fly when you're certain that nobody is allowed to shoot at you. On the other end of it is just a guy, a workhorse pilot a long way from home, halfway through the most boring patrol of his week, with no idea there's a Phantom sliding quietly into his blind spot. Dvari eases the big Phantom into position, lets his breathing slow, and lines up the kind of shot they put in training films. Then he opens fire. He watches his rounds walk right up the spine of the American jet. Sparks, metal, smoke. A panel rips off and tumbles into the sea. The right engine coughs, flares, and dies. The Warthog sags sideways, drops its nose toward the water, and starts trailing a long ribbon of fire. From where Dvari sits, this is the easiest kill of his life. By every rule he has ever been taught, the American is already dead. So he calls it in, and back at base, the room erupts. And that is the exact moment Dvari makes his mistake. He assumes the American agrees with him. He doesn't. As the Warthog falls, the pilot does the one thing Dvari never planned for. He throws the jet onto manual control, and the dead plane stops dying. Dvari is still mid-celebration, still grinning, when the Warthog claws its nose back up off the water, ugly, limping, smoking from a dozen holes, and very much still flying. For a moment, he just stares at it. This is not supposed to be possible. Here is what he does not understand. He just shot the one airplane on Earth that was designed, from the very first bolt, to keep flying after exactly this. Baffled, Dvari hauls the Phantom around. And here's the thing, he could just leave, turn for home, call it a kill anyway. Let nobody on Earth ever learn the truth. Running is completely free. He doesn't take it. He lines up again and pours more fire into the Warthog. The jet's whole reason to exist is to fly low and slow and soak up everything an angry battlefield can throw up at it. So its builders never hoped it would survive being hit. They assumed it, and they built around the assumption. More rounds tear into the wings. Ragged strips of metal peel off into the sea. When the hydraulics die, an A-10 can be flown on raw cables and muscle alone. No power, no computers, just a man strong enough to drag an airplane through the sky by hand. And the Warthog does not shoot back. It does not dodge. Flying it like this is like steering a semi with the power steering torn out, on fire at 300 miles an hour, with someone behind you actively trying to finish the job. It just holds its line, steady and patient, like a man walking through rain who decided a mile ago that he was already wet. This rattles Dvari more than the surviving did. A normal pilot fights back, or a normal pilot runs. This one does neither. It simply takes it. He is emptying his gun into the thing, and it is behaving as though he isn't even there. Then the Warthog does something Dvari is absolutely not ready for. It starts to turn, not away, toward him, slowly, heavily, dragging its wounded nose around the sky by brute strength and spite. It is not fast. Nothing flown on cables ever is, but it is coming around, and it is lining up, and it is pointing at him. Dvari's celebration dies somewhere in his throat, because that cannon he ignored back at the start is the single toughest, most stubborn system on the entire aircraft. You can shred both wings, kill both engines, and beat the fuselage into scrap, and it will still fire, because the whole plane exists to keep it working. It is less an airplane with a gun than a gun with an airplane wrapped around it. And right now, that gun is swinging slowly, deliberately, toward the nose of his Phantom. Dvari has about 1 second to decide. He can hold his line and bet his life that the American would never trade his own neck for a single shot. Or he can break away. He breaks away. Of course he breaks away. He is flying a 1960s jet held together with optimism, and the thing pointing at him is a flying cannon that does not appear to care in the slightest whether it lives or dies. So he rolls hard, trying to drag his belly out of the line of fire, and it is the worst decision he will ever make, because rolling away lays the Phantom's belly flat across the Warthog's nose for half a second. Half a second is all the gun needs. The A-10's cannon was built to kill tanks, to punch through armor plate from the air and end the afternoon for everyone inside. It fires. It doesn't sound like a gun. It sounds like the sky being torn in half. It empties something like 30 rounds across him in that half second, each one roughly the size of a wine bottle. And a gun like that does not politely miss. A solid river of 30mm rounds crosses the gap in an instant and walks straight across the Phantom's exposed belly. The big, proud Phantom comes apart. Not in a glorious movie fireball. It just quietly stops being an airplane and becomes a loose handful of parts that used to be one. Dvari does the only thing he has left. He grabs the handle and ejects into open sky. And here's the part Dvari will be explaining for the rest of his natural life. The American does not celebrate. He doesn't whoop or call it in like a trophy. He keys his radio and says exactly one thing. "You already called me dead. You should have made sure." Then the Warthog turns for home. It doesn't circle the parachute or buzz him or even tip a wing to look down. It just limps off on its one good engine, bleeding from 100 holes, like Dvari isn't worth the extra fuel it would cost to gloat. And Dvari drifts down toward the same water he was bragging over 90 seconds ago. Close enough to watch the last burning pieces of his own jet hit the sea before he does. Dvari gets fished out of the Gulf. He survives. His pride does not. His commanders don't even yell at him. Yelling would mean understanding it well enough to be angry, and they don't. So mostly they just stare. Then his own squadron hands him a new call sign, lifted straight off the radio call he made. The one where he announced a dead man about 4 seconds before becoming one himself. From that day on, every man in his unit calls him Splash. Not as a compliment, as a reminder. And here's the worst part. Every time the radio crackles for him, he has to answer to it himself, out loud, in his own voice, every single time. "Splash, copy.